Hello, welcome to Future Foodcast. I'm Pam Blind-Miller, your host, and I want to give a shout out and a thank you to our sponsor, Farm to Plate, a software company committed to creating tomorrow's food business ecosystem today. I'd like to welcome our guest today, Jason Olinik. He is the Vice President of Dining Operations for Continental Services. Welcome to the podcast, Jason.
Thank you, Pam, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, you have so many things to share with us today, and I'm really excited to dive into some of that. But first of all, could you give us a brief overview of what you actually do today and how you got to the place of doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently I am, as you said, I'm the vice president of our dining operations for Continental. And what we do is we're a managed food service company. We partner with clients in the Midwest. Right now we are in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana, and we're looking to kind of grow our footprint around the Great Lakes region, is what we call it around here. So, and what I specifically do is oversee a team of operators who partner with corporate clients and actually, some colleges as well. And we provide food service to employees and students at these locations. And it's been a wonderful ride, and obviously a tough 3 years in the B&I industry. But we found our way out, and we are trudging forward and looking to grow organically. And how we're doing that, and part of our vertical growth plan is through food. So my team really focuses on enhancing that dining experience for employees and working with clients right now to actually bring employees back to the office, which is super exciting for us, obviously. So yeah, my history is interesting. I've always been one who enjoys enhancing food service and dining experiences in places where it's not always expected. I started off in hotels. After college, I went to Central Michigan University. And then after college, I moved to Florida. I interviewed for a hospitality company. Always loved food. I worked for Chili's for many years, all throughout high school and college, and really understood food service and hospitality for the Breaker organization, which was a great foundation for me. And that kind of expanded that. And I got an interview with the hotel company out of Florida, and they actually had a random hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So they were like, "Hey, you want to go train out there for a year or two and learn the food and beverage hospitality part of this business?" And I was like, sure, why not? A 23-year-old kid wanted to kind of cut my teeth in the industry, and I moved out to New Mexico, and I really just fell in love with hospitality and everything that it brought, and meeting new people and the people that you worked with and learned from, all the backgrounds of all the different people that you serve and that you serve along with. So fell in love with the food scene in Albuquerque, and that was kind of just transformed my life. And then I moved. They promoted me back, and I moved back to Florida, which was awesome. And I moved to a luxury hotel called the Sand Pearl Resort in Clearwater Beach. That was kind of my first introduction into luxury hospitality and 5-star service, and really learned how to really anticipate guests' needs and what that means to people, and how you can really transform someone's experience. So spent 3 years there, and then I went down to Naples, Florida, and I became a general manager of a limited service Courtyard hotel. And that was my first kind of big break, and really running an operation as being the solo person in charge, and handling many different aspects of the hotel, from housekeeping to engineering to food service again. So that was a really hard but rewarding job. And then I went to the Edgewater Beach Resort right on the beach there in Naples, a beautiful setting. Another luxury hotel took over their food and beverage program, kind of built that from the ground up. Nice restaurant there, fine dining mixed with that beach concept, which everybody loves when they go on vacation, and that was fun. And then I got engaged to my now wife down there, and we decided to move home to Michigan. And along with that, I actually had some contacts from my hotel world who set me up with an interview for a restaurant management job inside Detroit Airport. So now I'm going from, chain restaurants to hotel restaurants to fine dining restaurants and hotels to now opening up restaurants inside of an airport terminal, and that was the most another rewarding experience, where the pressure's on, you're open long hours, you're open early, You have to, serve a wide variety of people who are traveling, who are anxious, who are calm, who are frustrated, trying to really bring a different level of dining experience. I think airports for a long time were kind of a place for more convenience food. And then we wanted to bring this chain restaurant, this high level restaurant brands to airports. We brought a Chick-fil-A, we brought a PF Chang's, we brought a Longhorn Steakhouse, and partnered with the local market and really kind of elevated the food scene at Detroit Airport. And that was it was an honor to be a part of that transformation. I spent about 5 years there, and it was a wonderful experience. And then I found my way to Continental, and now I've been elevating dining in the B&I industry ever since. So I've been here for about 5.5 years, and I'm just really loving the challenge that it brings.
Yeah, well, they are lucky to have you, Jason, with that. Well, a lot of people don't bring that variety of experience in all the different markets that you were in. And what you learned there, I love your airport description because it's so true. You probably needed a psychology degree as well as your experience in hospitality to bear, or maybe you expanded that during that experience, because traveling, people experience the full spectrum of emotions. And you could get the people that are really happy and excited to be on the trip they're going on and just getting started, to the people whose flight that had been delayed, or they have a challenge, or they had a terrible trip, whatever might have happened. And that is so true. But kudos to you, because I went through the Detroit airport just last month, and it is beautiful, and there are wonderful options there. So obviously your time there had an impact, and they've continued on with, that elevating of what they're providing there. So that's a great job. But what I heard through all of that really was you're so oriented to your client and your customer. You talked about anticipating, you learned in the luxury market, anticipating their needs. You've got a whole different profile of client now than you did at the luxury hotel, but you still apply that same service mentality to that. Can you explain who you're serving and, how you think ahead on what their needs might be?
Yeah, I think, when you spend 20 years in hospitality like I have, I think you learn that everybody needs something different, based on how they're feeling that day and what they're going through. And you can have a powerful impact on someone's life through a food experience. I think people, when you go out to eat, you look at it as an escape, and it's a place for you to be transformed into, whether it's through a cuisine or through someone's talents or someone's service. You can really be transformed through that experience. And I think what I've learned along the way is that food can be a connector. It can bring people together. It can give you that break from an anxious moment of, traveling and traveling to a hotel, and just having that break, and a glass of champagne and a nice meal can really just kind of alleviate everything that you're going through for just a moment. It's a very vulnerable experience. And I think, no matter what venue you're in and where you're serving, everyone appreciates hospitality and good service, no matter what. And I think, bringing that to the corporate environment has been something that, I've been very passionate about over the last couple of years. And, being the best part of someone's day when they're going down to eat with their colleagues, when they're connecting around a really interesting dish. I think for so long, corporate food service was looked at as this burgers and fries and, very convenience driven, speed. I have a half hour. I have to get through here. Whatever's quick and easy, I don't really care. We're starting to see the space kind of transform with the new generation of worker who really cares about food, who cares where it's from, who cares about the experience, about the connection with their coworkers. We're not at work as much as we used to be. So I think connection is even more important if you do go to the office and you're spending limited time with your coworkers. Having that moment where you're surrounded by people that are striving for bigger things and are connected to something bigger than themselves, and you incorporate a moment in their day where they can sit around a really interesting dish and collaborate and talk about what it reminds them of, and you're really transforming them to a place of that's familiar but also different, and they can really openly talk about that. And I think, we find great joy in succeeding for our clients and what they're trying to achieve for their employees, which is a healthier workforce, a more collaborative workforce. And that's what just been really just a strong passion of ours. And we continue to kind of push that through our region. So,
yeah. And hearing you speak about this with how Continental Services approaches their corporate clients and corporate dining, I think a lot of our listeners would agree with me. It is not how I traditionally have thought about corporate dining.
mm-hmm.
Your whole approach to it, the company's approach to it, your attitude about the results of doing a good job. You're not even talking to me too much about the food. You're talking to me about the experience of the food. And I just think that's a whole shift in perspective. I really think that is great. And I'm sure your clients are loving that experience as well. Just, you're not all about the deliverable. You're about the experience of what that deliverable brings to your end customer.
Yeah, it's about partnering with your clients and really seeking, how they want to show regard for their employees. And we don't lead with our brand. If you went to any one of our Continental cafes, the only reason why you would know it was a Continental cafe is because of the name on the chef coat. We don't have signage that, we really want to blend in, but be a big part of the culture. So we let our clients lead the way by partnership. And it's, what are you seeking? How do you want to take care of your employees? Is it a healthy subsidy? Is it a full-blown dining subsidy where, we want to keep prices low to entice people to come down and to collaborate, using food as that connector in the office, as well as using it as a tool for retention, to keep employees there, as a recruiting tool. And this kind of all started in Silicon Valley with the Facebooks and the Oracles and all those fighting for the same employees. They were using food as kind of a differentiator. And that's kind of made its way to the Midwest over the last decade or so. And we're reveling in that opportunity to perform for our clients, to help our clients create a culture that's rewarding, that's healthy, that's collaborative, really just being the fabric that holds everything together, but not leading through our brand, by making this the client's local restaurant, the local coffee shop that's really truly their own and not ours. And I think that's what's made us very successful.
Very cool. Yeah, it's not about you, it's about them and meeting their needs. I have this disconnect though, because you're in that Great Lakes area, et cetera. And then you talk about Silicon Valley. I mean, I think about the car manufacturers in your area. I know that's a big part of your clientele that you're working with. And what's the connection with Silicon Valley? Help our listeners understand what's happening in your client base.
Absolutely. I think the future has been pulled forward for a lot of industries over the pandemic. And I think what you saw was the push for electric. And it's not only is it going to happen in kitchens soon as what we're kind of experiencing, but it's also happening in the automotive industry, which is the heart of where our headquarters is in Troy, Michigan, which is right outside of Detroit. Obviously, if you know of Detroit, it's the Motor City. A lot of tier one auto suppliers have their offices here, and obviously the big three are here with Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors, headquartered all in the Detroit area. So we feed a lot of those employees, and we're feeding the future right now, which is electric. And what they're doing is they're fighting for engineers from Silicon Valley to come in and really shake up the auto industry in this race for a more sustainable future, for the race to all electric. And a lot of our clients have some pretty big dreams to go all electric in 10 years. And what that's going to require is deep collaboration, a different type of engineer. It's not just the blue collar, manufacturing, pressing cars all day. It's a little bit of a different employee coming over, and they're bringing them into Michigan and introducing them to the Midwest. And steak and potatoes can make it here, but it may not be for everybody, especially those who are coming from the West Coast, who are more interested in maybe an organic experience with food and where it comes from, and being a part of that. As these automakers go to a sustainable future, how can food service weave into that? And a lot of it is also contributing to their sustainable workplace practices and weaving in our own, sustainable viewpoints on food and how that can kind of align with the company's values. So starting to see really the employee base changing, and it's been exciting to see that food has now been a focus as that industry has changed, and we're here for it. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting and gives you a new challenge, which I know you're up to meeting and trying to even, like you said, anticipate what some of those other future needs might be. But one of the benefits, I guess, from getting away from kind of the traditional, maybe Midwestern diet and introducing California and the Silicon Valley, they're known for really their focus on maybe lighter food, healthier food, less processed food, and that kind of thing. And there are some other benefits for the employees to be consuming that, and benefits to your clients, which you brought up to me before. And I was surprised about the focus on healthy food gives a healthier employee, which really ultimately hits the bottom line for the company.
Yeah, I think it goes again to helping employers show regard for their employees and the vital role that we can play in that venture. I mean, I think if you're serving healthy food to your employees, you're going to have a more energetic workforce. Healthier workforce, I think, is a more productive workforce. And I think, from our standpoint, if we're in an office 5 days a week, we have an opportunity to serve someone breakfast and lunch, of the 21 meals that someone can eat a week, we're responsible for possibly 10 of those, and the responsibility that comes with that. If you can introduce healthy eating at work, that can spread to different areas of your employee's life. And I think that's, something that we're really passionate about, and how we can partner with our clients and just really promoting healthier habits. Food can be medicine. And I think, what the pandemic showed us is being healthy is pretty important. Having energy is important. And the food that you eat and how that can impact your health. Think about obesity and heart disease and these things that, are wreaking havoc on Americans. What we can do is just in our small world, help, guide people to better habits. And maybe that spills over. And, for the employees, the rising healthcare costs and what food could actually do to curb some of that. I think that's something that we're really interested in and what we've been partnering with clients on recently. And when people think about healthy food, they're like, it's not going to be good. It's going to be expensive. I'm just not going to do it. But that's not the case. I think you can make healthy food good, and employers can do their best to either subsidize a portion of that to really entice their employees to eat healthy. And we've seen some traction in that arena, which is exciting. And I think it's going to show when they see, healthcare costs go down and they see productivity go up, that food is really having a major impact, especially healthy food on the mental state of their employees.
And again, a different perspective coming from corporate dining company.
Yep.
I think, again, our listeners will agree this has not traditionally been a focus, and it's exciting to see that. But your founder and early leaders were all about better sourcing of products too. I mean, you wanted to provide healthier food, and you weren't how finding what you wanted out in the market. So tell us a bit about what's going on with your sourcing situation.
Yeah. So obviously, Jim Barty is our founder. He founded the company in 1989. He started it as a small, but really passionate man about coffee. So he started selling coffee to offices. That turned into a vending business for us that turned into, we got into the corporate dining environment after that. And then unattended markets, vending, corporate dining, and events became who we are today. And along that way, Jim is just a very passionate person about the process. And if we can't find the right partner to produce the quality that we're seeking, he's the type that will go find it himself. So what he did was, he bought a cattle ranch in northern Florida because we weren't getting the beef that we wanted. It was too inconsistent, and he's very passionate about the farm to plate experience and making sure that the guest experiences the highest quality beef. So when he couldn't find it, he went and he bought the cattle ranch, and we serve great Mark Western beef in all of our cafes and for all of our events here locally. So and the same thing with coffee. He partnered with a local coffee roaster. So people, our clients are drinking coffee that was roasted within 7 to 10 days, which is just unbelievable in this business. So then he went, and we couldn't find a bread. I mean, for people, the bread aisle can be the scariest aisle. Honestly, it really can be. And finding a good quality bread that's safe, that has no preservatives, is really tough. It's hard for food service because of the limited shelf life, but that pursuit of excellence is just, you'll see it at every level in our company. And part of that is in our Proof Bakery. We bake all of our own bread. We make all of our own desserts, and we manage short shelf life with just really smart logistics and making sure that once the food is made, it's out and it's on a shelf as soon as possible. So it's been a quite the journey, but all I can say is that Jim has been just a true leader for us, and really striving for the best guest experience through really controlling every part of the process.
Yes, again, not your traditional corporate dining experience. For those of you who are managing that, I mean, really the fresh food, the short shelf life because of the lack of preservatives in the bread or the baking, for example, that just causes you to have to manage your inventory better and track of how all that's working. And again, call you to a higher standard. I mean, it's just a really great story. I think Continental, is changing the face of how people look at that. And hopefully this podcast episode will help open the eyes of some of our listeners into, the impact that you're making in the industry. But not only that, I really haven't heard of a corporate dining that has an app, and you have an app of some sort. So I don't even know all the details of that. Yeah. A little bit. Share with us a little bit about technology in corporate dining, another new concept.
Yeah, I mean, again, as the future has been pulled forward for so many industries, I mean, food service especially has been kind of propelled into this technology realm, and that's where we're living today. So when I started with Continental in 2018, we were starting to roll out this app for employers, and what it was, how can you make if someone has a half hour, how can you speed up that process to get food cooked to order, so they're not waiting in line. The traditional corporate cafe, if you can envision walking up, ordering verbally, your food is made, it's handed to you on a tray, you go to a cashier, you wait in line, and then you check out. That process typically was around 10 to 15 minutes, depending how busy the cafe was. So we decided to really incorporate this app, and it was customizable to our clients' menus, which is, customizable to their kitchens and what they can produce. And it really sped up the process of lunch. It gave people a different option to get food. And then the pandemic obviously happens. And prior to COVID, we had it at about 5 or 6 locations. And then COVID happens, and people begin to really start to get comfortable with getting food through their phone. I think what is over 50 to 60% of people now are ordering food through their phone, which was unheard of back in 2019. It was, this is not safe. This is weird. I want to experience it. All those things. And the DoorDash and all Uber Eats and all these things come out. So, the comfortability of people, obtaining a meal through their phone became widespread. And now we have it in all of our locations. We have an Eat Club platform where you can order food and it's delivered to your office. And that's part of our Food Your Way, is really incorporating technology to meet employees where they are when they want a meal, to kind of combat this flexible workforce. People it's not as rigid as it used to be. It's not like get in at work at 9, eat lunch at 11, leave at 5. I'm going to work at 10. I'm going to eat at 11:30. I will leave work at 2. I'll finish up my day at home. So being flexible with how people can, experience your food has been important to kind of, combat this flexible workforce. So technology has been huge as we propelled our company forward and our services forward. Not everybody uses it, but it's still there. And I think it provides a nice option for those who are on the go.
Absolutely. And it just sounds like you said, a great option. And I don't know, you use the word combating the flexible workforce, but honestly, I think you're cooperating with the flexible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. More of a moving forward together. Okay, this is what's happening, and here's how we're going to meet that need. I really like your approach to that. And it's very cool. Again, I would love if I were in an office to help maximize my time. Everybody is busy, and realizing that time spent in line, boy, you just shortcutted that. I can order it from my office and then come down, and my food will be ready, and I can pay for it and use that extra 15 minutes to enjoy eating with my colleagues and having a relaxing lunch, instead of being all tense that I only have 15 minutes left or 20 left in my time before I need to get upstairs for the next meeting. So that's that is really exciting too. I just see that it's really great how you're moving things forward, taking advantage of technology. Again, a different look at the corporate dining experience and the sourcing of your ingredients. You don't hear that very often. The care is being taken on the front end. And I think that's so important. We've covered a lot of really, really cool, lack of a better term. I don't want to use the term amazing. That seems to be overused. I'll use the word cool, because I think, and innovative technologies and mindset applied to corporate dining. But is there anything else that you'd like to share about what's happening at Continental Services before we go with our audience today?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're going to see is that food at work matters. Good food at work matters. It's important more than ever as companies venture down this path of inviting their employees back to the office, whether it be 2, 3, 4 days a week. I think the 5-day work week is over, which I think a lot of people are excited about. But I think, I think connection's important. I think human connection at work and being, next to somebody while you propel the world forward, especially as the world changes, and how do you do that at work? And I think the best opportunity to do that is through a great meal. And, we believe wholeheartedly that food has been our differentiator. Anyone can serve, chips and sodas and Snickers bars out of a vending machine or in a market. But I think really good food and sourcing it from a local, purveyor and really, really being passionate about the quality, I think that matters to people now more than ever, and what people put in their bodies and how that, affects their health, their mental health. I think there's so many benefits to having a great food service platform at work. It's where you can spend a lot of time. It's where you can spend time with other people who are different than you, and you can share a meal and you can talk about that. And I think there's a lot of benefits to that. And then, just to kind of introduce more healthier habits into the workforce to create a healthier culture, I think is always something that we're going to be passionate about. And we look forward to kind of growing vertically through our food and bringing our recipes and our concepts to the workplace and to campuses, in the Midwest. So
yeah, very exciting. Thank you, Jason, for sharing this great perspective that Continental brings to the industry. I think it's really exciting and innovative, and I hope our listeners enjoyed hearing from us today.
Thank you for the opportunity, Pam. I sincerely appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you to our sponsor, Farm to Plate, again, a software company enabling better food supply management. You can find out more at farmtoplate.io.
Thanks for listening to Future Foodcast. Future Foodcast is powered by Farm to Plate, the leading food blockchain platform. Subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to stay up to date with the very latest innovations in the food industry.